And good evening and welcome. Tonight, allegations of sexual depravity and assault against teenage girls by the leader of a fast-growing fundamentalist religious sect, claiming 5 million members worldwide, with 1 million in the United States in all 50 states. The church leader claims to be the apostle of God, and authorities say he told the teenage girls he allegedly abused that by refusing him, they would be going against God.
The church calls itself the Light of the World, claiming members in 58 countries. Its leader is 50-year-old Nason Joaquin Garcia, who began his career as a minister in Arizona and Southern California. He teaches that he is the apostle of Jesus Christ, just like his father and grandfather who founded the church. Videos posted by the church show his devoted followers treating Joaquin Garcia like a holy figure, and his charismatic appeal has helped the church spread from its roots in Mexico across the United States and beyond. But behind that aura, California authorities say there is a dark side, a cult of personality used by Joaquin Garcia to take advantage of some of his youngest followers.
On Monday night, my office arrested Nason Joaquin Garcia.
California Attorney General Xavier Becerra says Joaquin Garcia and 3 of his church leaders are charged in what he called a major sex trafficking and sex abuse case involving at least 3 teenage girls who were in the church. He called the church leader sick and demented.
The type of crimes that belong nowhere in our society, from human trafficking, production of child pornography, oral copulation, rape, statutory rape, child molestation, extortion, conspiracy, and more.
The Attorney General said the beloved church leader was provided by his followers with images of teenage girls who were told to, quote, take off their clothing, touch each other's breasts and vaginas, and lick whipped cream off each other's breasts, unquote.
They were parishioners, if you wish to call them that. This is a pretty large organization. I hesitate to call it a church, a mega church, and it has a lot of followers. And these are, some people would probably call this a case of brainwashing or where these families are influenced.
The bail has presently been set with regard to Mr. Garcia in the amount of $50 million. That amount will remain.
The church leader, Joaquin Garcia, is now being held on a bail of $50 million. At a hearing this week, prosecutors said they feared he would flee the country if there was not such a large bail.
Because there is a real fear that because he has this church with more than 1 million followers, that he will raise the money and he will bail himself out. And if he bails himself out, he may try to flee to the place where he had just come from when we captured him at LA airport, back to Mexico or somewhere else.
All of this comes as the Church of the Light of the World is in a pitched battle in a small town in Georgia called Flowery Branch, where the church has bought a huge tract of more than 300 acres to create its own city. The plans include a church, resort hotels, even a shopping center.
Well, some of their Holy Suppers have drawn over 100,000 participants for several days. How do you do that in a town with little one-lane rural roads and little subdivisions? How do you do that in a town of 8,000 people?
Local residents have organized a determined opposition to stop the church project.
I'm pretty sure they think that they're just going to roll right over us here in the Little Flowery Branch. I hope that we can get enough of our friends and family and neighbors aware and behind us so that we're going to shock them.
Businessman David Nixon is among those against it, saying the church has similarities to a cult.
It's more about the leader. It's more about his glory, and you can only get through, to heaven through this guy and his family. And I would say that they share more in line with what people traditionally think of as a cult.
Church leaders claim its opponents in Georgia are racist and unchristian. Jack Freeman is a minister in the Light of the World Church.
What's happening in Georgia is a war, is a battle. We need to fight We are not going to lay down and give up and allow ourselves to be taken captive or moved or run off.
Now, with the new criminal charges against church leader Joaquin Garcia, local residents in Georgia say they are more determined than ever to keep the development out.
If it also turns out that the hierarchy of the church gets convicted of, child rape and sex trafficking, well, I think that helps make our case even more ironclad.
With their leader, the apostle of Jesus Christ, behind bars awaiting trial, members of the church were instructed to pray for Joaquin Garcia. And his deputies and lawyers said he was targeted because he was a man of the cloth and promised he would soon be proven innocent.
The false allegations leveled against our church leader, Apostle Nason Joaquin Garcia, have caused our church a deep sadness. However, our church community is confident that the allegations will be proven false.
Joining us now by Skype is Alan Sawyer, a lawyer for the accused apostle. Mr. Sawyer, thank you very much for being here. Your client remains behind bars, $50 million bail. That's the largest ever in Los Angeles County.
Thanks for having me, Brian. Yeah, it's a very unusual amount of bail, and I think it's based on a false premise that you should take into account the assets and the wealth of a church in determining an individual's bail. The reason why that is a false premise is because prior to this incident and after this incident, the church's finances are completely separate from Mr. Garcia's finances. He does not sign on any bank accounts. He cannot direct where money is sent. And the church has a bylaw and a rule that says that their funds cannot be used for criminal defense.
Mr. Sawyer, let me ask you, your client, I take it, is going to plead not guilty? He's going to fight this?
Of course, yeah, he's going to enter a plea of not guilty. We expect to have a bail hearing next Friday, and we're extremely confident that he will be allowed to have a reasonable bail, and this case will proceed in due course, and he'll be found not guilty.
Mr. Sawyer, we have a question for you from our control room from executive producer Rhonda Schwartz. Rhonda?
Alan, is the church doing its own investigation of these allegations?
They have general counsel in the church, and it's very likely that they will do some kind of internal investigation. But we as a defense are running our own investigation that's independent.
But is there any truth to this at all, Mr. Sawyer? Does he know these three girls?
We haven't been provided discovery yet in this case, which is unusual. I mean, the Attorney General did an unprecedented press conference where he claimed my client was an animal, demented and sick, and that is completely inappropriate for a prosecutor to do. The presumption of innocence is supposed to be present in a case, and there should be no attempt to taint the jury pool. And I think Mr. Becerra crossed the line and violated ethical standards in the press conference on the allegations the way they've been presented at this point.
Well, Alan Sawyer, thank you very much. We'll keep tabs on what's going on as the court goes through the process.